This presentation is intended to give you an overview of how to conduct municipal elections. The primary audience are rural clerks from communities with a population less than 5,000. According to state law, the clerk is the person responsible for administering all municipal elections. This presentation will cover three main areas: how to prepare for an election, how to conduct an election, and what action is required after an election. Regular municipal elections, for the purpose of electing new council members and possibly a mayor, typically take place on the first Tuesday in October, although your local code may have established a different date. Special elections can occur at different times of the year. Some examples of a special election include a runoff if there's no clear winner after a regular election, or a local option election if the community is determining whether or possibly restrict alcohol. Municipal election laws are covered in Alaska Statute Title 29, Chapter 20, and also your local code. It is imperative that you review your local code as it may differ from state law. Proper planning is essential to conducting a well-run election. An election calendar flags important dates throughout the process and helps ensure compliance with laws. An election calendar is available online from the Division of Community and Regional or by contacting your local government specialist. Notice of the election is required by law. Failure to notify the public can invalidate the results and require you to redo the entire process, which would result in expensive legal problems. The clerk prepares the notice on a single page and includes the following information: the type of election, whether it's a regular or special election, the date of the election, description of seats to be filled, voter qualifications, polling location, hours the polls are open, and any propositions. According to state law, the notice must be posted for 20 days in 3 public places: post at the City Hall, the post office, and your local store. It's recommended that you document the type of notice, the date of posting, and where you posted. Providing a report to the council with that information will ensure it was documented. This is important because if notices are removed and the public was not informed, the election can be invalidated. A citizen can become a candidate for office by filing for a There are 2 procedures established in state law: the declaration of candidacy or the nominating petition procedure. Since state law allows either or, check to see what your local laws say. The clerk is responsible for creating the ballot in local elections. It will need to include a heading section stating the name of the city, the type of election, the type of ballot, whether it's official or sample, the date of the election, possibly an area in the upper right corner to number each ballot sequentially. should be general instructions such as marking an X on the ballot. A list of open seats and the names of the candidates for office, in addition to a spot for one write-in per seat. Some local laws require that the candidates' names be rotated on the ballot. Be sure to know if you are required to do so. Always proofread the ballot carefully. You can send a draft ballot to your local government specialist for review. Just like the candidates' names being rotated, some local laws require the ballot or the sample ballot be printed on a specific colored paper. The ballots should be ready 10 days before the election, and the number of ballots is based on how many registered voters and expected voter turnout. The sample ballot enables the voter to see what the ballot will look like. Make sure that the word sample appears across and is printed on a different colored paper than the official ballot. An absentee ballot is cast by a voter who is unable to go to the polling place on election day. It is the clerk's responsibility to prepare material for absentee voting. There are different ways for absentee voting. They are in the mail, in person, through the fax, or special needs, which is also called personal representative. Not all municipalities allow for absentee voting by fax, so check your local laws. For more detailed information on absentee voting, please consult your local government specialist, your local laws, or the Division of Community and Regional Affairs website. It is suggested that the polling place be set up the day before the election. On the morning of the election, bring the ballot box and the official ballots. As clerk, you will likely be one of the electors. 3 election workers are required at all times, and it is recommended to have additional workers so that breaks can be adequately staffed. 3 election workers are required at all times, and it is recommended to have additional workers so that breaks can be adequately staffed. 3 election workers are required at all times, and it is recommended to have additional workers so that breaks can be adequately staffed. Electioneering is any attempt to persuade voters to vote one way or another within 200 feet from the entrance to the polling place. This could be something as simple as a bumper sticker on a car in the parking lot or a button on a voter's jacket. Much of the time, elections will go very smoothly. The most common anomaly is that sometimes a voter is not on the master voter registration list, which is provided to you from the Division of Elections. When this happens, the voter must cast a question ballot. You cannot deny any person the right to vote. If you are ever uncertain on voter eligibility, have them vote a question ballot. The person fills out an oath and affidavit envelope stating that they are a registered voter. The affidavit envelope should include the voter's name and other identifying information, such as the last 4 of their social security number, driver's license number, date of birth, or voter number. The voter is then given a ballot, which is returned to the election judge. The returned ballot is placed in a plain, unmarked envelope. It is then placed in the oath and affidavit envelope, which goes into the ballot box. An election worker must announce that the polls will close in 15 minutes. If the community uses CB radios, this is an effective way for the announcement. Exactly at closing time, the doors to the building will close. Because of polling locations, if that is not possible, have one of the election workers stand in line behind the last eligible voter. Those in front of the election worker can vote, and anyone behind them cannot. After all voting is finished, election workers will record the number of regular ballots, the number of question ballots, any defective or spoiled ballots, and the number of unused ballots. The total of all these ballots should equal the number provided to you. The unused ballots will be torn in half before opening the ballot box. Now comes the time to open the ballot box and count all the ballots. One election worker will read the ballots, and the other two will keep an individual tally sheet. If a voter marks fewer names than there are persons to be elected, the marks will count. If a voter marks more names than there are persons to be elected, the marks in that section will not be counted, although the rest of the ballot will be counted. Any erasure or correction invalidates that section of the ballot. After counting the ballots, the workers will sign the tally sheet and then prepare the ballot accountability report. A list of the preliminary winners can be posted. The posting should state the date and time when these results will be certified and the process to contest the election. Generally, the City Council will meet to certify the results 6 days after the election. Before the meeting, the clerk investigates question ballots by contacting the Division of Elections The ballots are either accepted or rejected at the certification meeting. Accepted ballots are then opened and counted, while rejected ballots are not opened and are not counted. The clerk must inform voters whose ballots were not accepted. The council reviews and approves the election results. The clerk will record a statement in the meeting minutes that the election results are in order and the total number of votes cast for each candidate. The clerk issues a certificate of election which is signed by the mayor and clerk. State law requires that a runoff election must be held if no candidate receives at least 40% of the votes cast for that particular office. A municipality may have laws requiring a simple majority or more than 40%. Be sure to know what your laws require before you determine a winner. If your municipality has the 40% requirement, how do you know who won? Consider the following scenario. John, Jake, and James are running for office. John received 26 votes, Jake 36 votes, and James 32 votes, yet none of them won. To determine 40%, add up all of the votes cast for each office. Here, 26 plus 36 plus 32 equals 94 total votes. Multiply 94 by 40%, either on the calculator by entering 94 times 0.4 or 94 times 40%. And you can see that 37.6 would be rounded up to 38 votes needed. Of course, if the winner is decided by simple majority, then Jake would be the winner. When there is no clear winner, a runoff election is. The top two vote getters, Jake and James, are placed on the special election ballot. Keep in mind that when you are making this ballot, there will not be a space for writing candidates. If the date of a runoff election is not already established in your local laws, the council will set the date. Pre-clearance request will need to be submitted to the Federal Department of Justice. For more information on pre-clearance, refer to the Division of Community and Regional Affairs website or contact your local government specialist. If your local laws dictate the date of runoff elections, then pre-clearance is not required. Runoff elections are then held in the same manner as regular elections. Elections can be contested for various reasons. Often they are contested because a losing candidate requests a recount. Elections can be contested for various reasons. Often they are contested because a losing candidate requests a recount. Other reasons for contesting an election include irregularities in the election process, misconduct, fraud, or corruption of an election worker, or corrupt election practices which are in conflict with state laws, which may change the results of the election. A qualified voter must submit a sworn, written statement before or at the meeting to certify the results. The statement must include the seats being contested, the grounds for the contest, and the signature of the person submitting the statement. The City Council directs the clerk, and possibly the attorney, to investigate the election proceedings and report back to them for a decision. The Council may choose to accept the initial election results or determine it was improper and order a new election. Thank you for taking a few moments to watch this brief overview of municipal elections. A copy of this video, supplemental election forms, and further training can be provided free of cost to you. All you have to do is ask.